Good morning. These are the words for the wind for the weekend of August 22nd and 23rd. And there's not going to be a daily post regularly anymore because we're busy and I've got things to do and I just don't want to throw stuff together just to do it. So I still will be posting, but not regularly, which leads me to the point of my reflection this weekend. Each day, each week, now each month that we move into this, the idea of what a parish is and the future of what a parish will be becomes more mysterious to me. I mean, it's a long absence from being present to one another. There's a long absence from the routines and the reasons and the patterns that we establish in our lives. Huge numbers of people have been away from Mass and all of the other things that make a parish, especially in the summertime. We didn't get a vacation Bible school, no fish fries, all sorts of things. So I'm not sure what's happening. But this is what I think. I told the story last night in my homily, which was awful, about a wedding that we had a few years back. I can't remember exactly when. And there were 4 or 5 absolutely delightful, beautiful little girls as junior bridesmaids or flower girls. I'm not exactly sure what, but they had just beautiful kind of blue-green satiny dresses with pink bows and flowers in their hair. And as is my custom, I sit in the sacristy before a wedding and watch what's going on out in the vestibule there to get a feel. And those little girls were just spinning and then dropping to the floor. And I called them in the homily at that wedding little puddles of beauty. And in a thank you note after the wedding from the bride and the groom, I had a picture of those girls, those little puddles of beauty. And so when I look at the future of parish, I think that, certainly for the immediate future, and we don't know how long term, parish life is going to be drastically different than we want it to be, or at least I think we want it to be and expect it to be, and as it was. And how we come out on the other side of this in terms of what a parish is remains to be seen. But in the meantime, I think that we have to do our best to create little puddles of beauty, truth or goodness. And we can't do big things, but we can do small things. Certainly the food pantry on a daily basis is, metaphorically speaking, a puddle of beauty for people. Hungry people, people who have a difficult time making ends meet, people who have prescriptions, people who've lost their jobs. So all of the contributions that you do toward that and the work that Karen Boyle and other volunteers, well, Karen Boyle is our parish employee, but the volunteers that we allow in to do bits and pieces of things, those are puddles of beauty. Debbie Lund and Irene Sefcik fielding the telephone calls and handling funerals, and Pam Kulam handling baptisms, and Deacon Dan and Deacon Phil doing those baptisms. And even though it's all very different, those become puddles of beauty. They become important moments when we reflect the deepest and best traditions of hospitality, welcome, sincerity, and generosity. The CFP, the religious education format going forward, I'm not sure of yet. I want to wait and see how things play out in the schools. I'm not so sure that, it certainly is not going to be like it was. One of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to have stories recorded, traditional, long-standing, classic children's stories recorded. Mary Jo Zemkowski is going to do some of those for us, and then Karen is going to add some music, and Adam White is going to add some illustration, and we're going to get a dedicated spot. YouTube, I'm not sure how all that stuff works, but a dedicated spot where you can listen to the stories. They'll be aimed particularly at, the little preschool kids, first, second, third graders. But anybody will benefit from these stories. They're classic stories of human goodness, human truth, and human beauty in this world. And then I'm going to do a kind of a tour of the church and take you around. It'll be recorded segments, take you around and tell you the history of certain things in the church, the history long before we were here of certain things in the church, then the liturgical meaning and purpose behind different aspects of our church, and that'll be online. And then I'm going to do a faith formation on the sacraments that will be videoed, and you can look at that if you want. Those are just ideas. In the gospel story today, I won't read the whole thing to you, but it's Jesus is in the region of Caesarea Philippi, which is a Roman imperial area, and he asks his disciples, he's continuing this identity quest for them more than for him, but he's continuing this identity quest. Who do you say I am, he says. Or who? First of all, he says, who do people say I am? And then, who do you say I am? And the people, they say, well, the people think you're a prophet, reincarnated, come back from the dead. And then when he says, well, who do you say I am? Simon Peter says, well, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. And let me back up a minute. Jesus doesn't say, who am I? He says, who do people say the Son of Man is? And the Son of Man is a technical term that comes from Ezekiel. It's very rarely present, and that's the only term that Jesus uses to refer to himself, the Son of Man. And that term essentially means the fullness of human possibility flourishing with God's love. I know that's a big mouthful of stuff, but the fullness of human possibility flourishing with God's love. All of the noble things that have been done in history are being done today and will be done by human beings. And we can do some ignoble things too. We're all very much aware of that. But doing noble things is beautiful things, good things. The musicians, the artists, the children, the grandchildren, the elders, all of the world that, all the big stuff is happening, but beneath the surface of the big stuff, God's plan is unfolding, and that unfolding is the flourishing of the human possibility imbued, I believe, with God's love, a giving into life, not so much a taking out of life, but a giving into life. And so as we go forward, I'm going to look for opportunities and just as best we can have these little puddles of beauty as our experience of parish for the time being, or in the meantime, awaiting the unfolding of what will be. I'm increasingly convinced that we will not return to the past, that we won't pick up where we left off last March, especially if we go through the autumn and Advent and Christmas seasons masked and distanced and apart and anxious and vigilant, especially if all that is part of the mindset and the mood. What we will become is hidden in the mind and the heart of God. That's poetry, but it's hidden. And the best that we can do is try and be puddles of beauty in this world, realistically. That doesn't mean we become Pollyannish and see the world through rose-colored glasses. There is a lot of pain. There is a lot of darkness. There is a lot of sin, if you will. That's there too, but I'm convinced that will not dominate, and that the light of Christ will shine through. Peace be with you this day.